Well, today, well, now we're going to be starting. Today we will learn about the second grade task we must undertake to achieve the intimate self-realization of our being. Okay, I'm having a problem with the PowerPoint presentation. Let me have 1 minute to solve it. Okay, I think we are ready. Well, as I said, we're going to be studying the conference number 11 of this Phase B self-knowledge course. We're going to be studying the second mountain, which is the second great task we must undertake or overcome to achieve the intimate self-realization of our being. Let us remember that this great work of self-realization is divided into three tasks, or three mountains, as they can also be called. As you can see here. Well, the first mountain is the mountain of birth, known as Genesis. The second mountain, which we will study today, is the mountain of death, known as the Apocalypse, which means the end by fire. And let us remember that this fire is the Christ. And the third mountain is the mountain of sacrifice for humanity, which we will study next week. Let's recall a little what we studied last week regarding the first mountain. When we reach this knowledge, we are only sympathizers, and two paths open to us: the path of the practitioner and the path of the believer. Those who do not practice will remain sympathizers and even fanatics. However, those who practice the three factors manage to balance their centers and ignite the sacred fire, becoming an initiate of the White Lodge and thus beginning the process of internal creation and the ascent of the first mountain. After igniting the fire, we must complete the five initiation of the major mysteries, which are related to the regeneration and creation of the first five bodies. We will also have to overcome the trials of the elements, the trials of earth, which are trials of poverty, those of water, which are trials of adaptation and intelligence, those of fire, which are trials of anger and lust, and the trials of air, which are trials of attachment, as well as the trials of the details that arise from moment to moment, trials that doesn't even seem like trials, like for example walking down the street, finding a coin that doesn't belong to us and picking it up. We will find these trials throughout the entire initiatory path, since this is a probative path. In the first initiation, the regeneration of the solar physical body will take place, with which the water baptism will be achieved. Here, we will have to go through trials of tribulation and poverty. We will have to reach a certain level of chastity. So, we will have to work hard on the fornication defects, and we will have to be patient and keep working even if we don't see any progress. In the second initiation, the regeneration of the solar vital body will take place. Here, there will be more trials of tribulation, poverty, patience, and above all, chastity, since there must be dominion over the internal waters, and the fornicator defect must be totally eliminated. At this stage, remember that the male will be put through a trial of prison. He will be taken to prison and will have to endure this situation with patience. In the third initiation, the creation of the solar astral body will take place. We will also have to overcome the trial of the guardian of the threshold of the astral body. In this trial, one faces a horrible monster and confronts it, throwing oneself at it to defeat it. This monster represents our ego, and here we'll have to overcome trials of recurrences of adultery also. In the fourth initiation, the creation of the solar mental body will take place. Here we must undergo trials of attachment, develop selfless sacrifice for humanity, and learn not to criticize others. Also, we must confront the guardian of the threshold of the mental body. This one represents our psychological trait, the defect that most defines us. And at the fifth initiation, the creation of the body of the solar will occur. Everyone who completes this initiation becomes a true souled man. At this fifth initiation, a third guardian will appear who will force us to choose between two paths, the path to nirvana and the direct path. The direct path is the one that leads us to the second mountain and the birth of the Christic force, to the elimination of the causal defects, also known as capital sins or heads of legion, and to the intimate self-realization of our being. He who chooses the direct path unites with his divine soul, and from this union of the human and the divine, the Christ is born. When one begins the first mountain, a force is born known as Moses, or the one saved by the waters. At the end of this mountain, that force must die so that the Christ force can be born. At this point, the master already has 78% of his consciousness free and awakened. Well, so Christmas must be lived in the heart, and when Christ is born, the ascent of the second mountain begins. The Christ will be born in the most difficult and sacrificial moments of the work, just as was the birth of Master Jesus, who in reality came to carry out the cosmic drama and to show with his flesh and blood the path that initiates must follow to achieve Christification and self-realization. So the Christ, who is the King of Kings, will be born in a barn filled with all kinds of animals. This means that although the Christ is the Lord of perfection, he must be born into a person still filled with psychological defects and erroneous ways of being. But one of the Christ's works will be to eliminate all those animals and merchants from the temple, all those defects that trade with our energy and vandalize the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is our body. When the Christ is born, it is an universal event. So masters find out and come to congratulate him. But the Black Lodge also finds out and will try to eliminate that Christ at all costs. However, he will be warned through the astral plane that he must hide for a while until he gains the necessary strength. We can see this in the killing of babies carried out by Herod in an attempt to eliminate the newly born king. We can also see how Joseph was warned and took his family to save them from that fate and fled to another place, went to another place to save them. This Christ or crucified master must live according to the three factors for the revolution of consciousness. Everything he does will be based on these three factors. Spiritual birth, since he must create the bodies capable of incarnating this Christic force. Psychological death, since he must eliminate the ego and the shadow of the ego itself, and the sacrifice for humanity, which he must assume on a planetary level. According to the law of 7, the Christ will grow from 7 to 7, each time manifesting himself with greater strength, love, and wisdom. We are not talking about normal years, but rather esoteric years. It will also awaken, or he will also awaken all the faculties and powers over the cosmos and all creation to put them at the service of humanity and the universe. He will also have the task to create the golden bodies, since the solar bodies created on the first mountain cannot tolerate the voltage of the Christ. Therefore, a golden physical body, a golden vital body, a golden astral body, a golden mental body, a golden causal body, a golden buddhic body, and a golden atmic body will be created. On this second mountain, there is no rest for the initiate, as the masters of the divine law will pressure him to pay in cash for all the defects he eliminates. He will have to constantly go to the tribunal of divine justice to negotiate these karmas with Master Anubis. In these instances, the master loses free will, and it is the Christ who takes charge of all psychological, emotional, sexual, and mental processes. Since the Christ is a revolutionary force, he will not rest until he completes this mountain and achieves resurrection. He will also have to eliminate what remains of the visible moon, which are those defects left over from the first mountain, and also eliminate the personality completely so that the true form of the being may manifest. This will be done during the creation of the physical and vital golden bodies. When the Christ creates the vital body of gold, he turns 14 years old and achieves the baptism of fire. Then he begins the work with the invisible moon, descending into the remaining spheres submerged in planet Earth to eliminate the defects found there and continue the creation process. He descends, as we can see here, to the sphere of Venus, where pleasures are found. There he must eliminate defects of the caliber of 384 laws, such as alcohol, which is the demon of drugs and alcohol. Then goes down to the sphere of the sun, where the imbalance is found, and where he must eliminate defects that have a voltage of 768 laws, such as Mammon and Lucifer. And then goes down to the sphere of Mars, where defects of anger are found with a voltage of 1536 laws. Upon completion of the work in these spheres, the creation of the golden astral body is complete and he is 21 years old. Then he has to descend to the sphere of Jupiter, where the Titan defects are governed by 3072 laws. Then he descends to Saturn to confront the defects of 6144 laws, those defects that go against nature. The violence against art, against God, and the Holy Spirit is found here also. Here are the greatest sexual aberration for example, incest, homosexuality, and well, so on. Then he descends to the sphere of Uranus, where lies and black magic selves reside. These defects handle a voltage of 12,288 laws. During this process, he creates the golden mental body and turns 28. And finally, he must descend to the sphere of Neptune, which is subject to 24,576 laws. In this process, he must create the golden causal body. When he reaches the age of 33, this master fully embodies the Christ and must live the crucifixion. He must die within himself. He must die on the cross. The cross is sex. This means that through sexual energy during a suprasexual practice known as death on the cross, which we will learn about later on this phase B, the causal defects found in this sphere will be eliminated. Here begins the cosmic drama of the Christ, and every initiate must live it internally to eliminate the causes defects or the causal defects. The Christ must also go through a process known as the 8 years of Job. He will have to pay the harsh karma due to the crimes committed against the Holy Spirit related to fornication. He will also have to eliminate the egos of treason. We see that in the story of Master Jesus, he dies and spends 3 days in hell. These 3 days represent the elimination of the causal selves, the heads of legions of egos, the seed itself of the ego, and also the completion of the creation of the golden causal body the first day. On the second day, the golden bodic body is created, and on the third day, the golden atmic body will be created. On the third day, then the resurrection takes place. The Christ rises from the dead, clean, without stain, without ego, without sin. He has conquered death. With the resurrection, the second mountain ends. At this point, 99% of consciousness has been liberated and awakened. The entire animal ego has died. The end of suffering arrives and immortality is achieved, because